As you know, the European Parliament will adopt next week a report on pension, responding to the European Commission's Green Paper. Our group is broadly happy with the content of the report. The report is also tackling the main question is how to make our pension system sustainable and safe for the future, how also to provide for the needs of European citizens, providing portability and usability.
First, we need to overcome the imbalances resulting from the increasing divergence between life expectancy and retirement ages. We need to adjust the European framework to reflect the changes that have come about in national pension systems after a decade of pension reforms. The crisis has highlighted the need to review financial market exposure and the design of our pension systems in order to improve risk mitigation. We need to fully prepare our pension systems for the acceleration of population aging. We urgently need to undertake pension reforms to ensure future long-term sustainability and adequacy at the same time.
Pension reform is easy to talk about as an expert. It's easy to talk about here and to discuss, but it is politically dynamite. It is really dangerous to deal with. The pension problem is very visible in this whole context here because of the aging of the population, but the real problem is nowadays to finance the European welfare state with all the kind of things it does on free health, free education, unemployment benefits, pension schemes, child support, all of that. And whether Europeans are mature enough to actually make the choices, and if they also can show enough solidarity to actually think of the other receivers of the welfare benefits.
If you look to the combination of the three-pillar system in the Netherlands, you see a very sound, not only a first pillar, but also a very sound second pillar. The biggest challenge for fully funded pension funds in the second pillar is, of course, inflation. Now, we have seen the debt ratios in Europe and we have seen the debt ratios in other parts of the world. And we know that if you want to solve them, you need fiscal discipline.
We must tackle the problem at its source, at its root. We must guarantee financing and sustainability and solidarity of pension systems. We must guarantee this through creating good jobs. So it means putting social policy at the heart of our European strategy, at the heart of our 2020 strategy. Isn't that the way to reconcile and to involve citizens in European construction, which is too often perceived to be purely economic?
Solvency II is a fully risk-based solvency regime. It takes account of all the risks on the asset side, investments for instance, and the liability side. When we proposed Solvency II, and the directive was adopted by Parliament and Council in 2009, the Framework Directive, we did not include pension funds under its scope. The Commission, following up the Green Paper, is going to ask EIOPA, the new authority for insurance and pensions, to develop some thinking about how we can amend the Pension Funds Directive, also, not exclusively, also in the area of the solvency rules.
I think we need to always base ourselves on the principle of subsidiarity. We're in favor of funded pensions, and we want to also ensure portability, transferability of pensions from one place to another, and the EU should be aiming to model itself on best practices as exists across the EU. So we need to promote company pension schemes covering all workers and ensuring that there's enough money in the pot to be able to cover everyone. And the stakeholders, who are both the employers and the workers, should not have to suffer because of a lack of foresight.
The Green Paper has identified the right issues and challenges. The moment is there to give the holistic process started by the Green Paper time to unfold. We hope the Commission will hear our call for full-scale impact assessments, quantifying additional costs and administrative burdens of any legislative proposal in this area. It is key that European employers, while staying competitive worldwide, can continue to sponsor work-related pensions and, more importantly, widen the coverage of their pension schemes. Let us not forget that 60% of the European workforce does not benefit from a work-related pension scheme. We should facilitate and promote them, not stifle their development.
The Green Paper spoke to the pension challenge in general, but it also spoke to the challenge of updating the EU framework for pensions, which is a much more limited technical issue for existing industries and existing provisions. Portability and mobility, of course, is not any issue. And therefore, even though the Commission, of course, has this as important questions in the Green Paper, there is, in fact, 2 questions on that, 6 and 7. It's not as if everybody in the Green Paper told us stay away, that this would be an option for the Commission. This is a structural responsibility for us as caretaker to develop the internal market for workers, and from the very start, we saw social protection as an important part of that.